Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Or should I say good morning, good afternoon, and good night? Wherever you might be tuning in from, welcome to Relax Radio, a station like no other that gives you everything you need right here in one place, and that is making sure you do it all while you relax. Of course, it's a new year for the Baha'i community, and we're here for an absolutely amazing beginning, the beginning of a new year, something we could all share together as the Baha'i community. And of course, I am telling you, if you are not a part of the Baha'i community by the end of this, well, segment, you are definitely going to be missing out on a lot. So stay tuned in as I introduce our special guest for today. We do have Dr. May Badee, and as well as Sohana, Akhand, and as well as Mahabub, Hossain. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. Of course, don't forget, if you got comments, if you got thoughts, if you have absolutely anything you want to share with us, you can do that. Just drop a comment, call us, WhatsApp us. We are available for you to reach right here on Relax Radio. But without further ado, let's say hi to our special guests. Hello, everybody. How are you doing?
Yes, we are
Hi.
fine.
Yes, the initial formal welcome of highs. But of course, I'd like to introduce Dr. May Badee, Sohana Akhand, and as well as Mahabub Hossain. Of course, I'd like to start things off with you, Mrs. Dr. May Badee. Now, when it comes to Naw Ruz, tell me, what is your experience of Naw Ruz being celebrated as a new year for the Baha'i community? And if I'm not mistaken, it's not just the Baha'i community. You could be absolutely anybody from any country, any place in the world, and you could be celebrating the Baha'i community as long as you practice and believe in their faith. So do tell me, how does this resonate with everybody else in the world, and what makes this celebration so special?
Sure. Sure. Thank you very much, Abid. It's very nice to
Thank
be
you very
here.
much for being here.
So before I start telling you about how it resonates with anybody around the world, let me just tell you very briefly about the history of the Baha'i faith, where the Nowruz is part of it. And of course, Nowruz means new day or new year in Persian language. And it has been celebrated in Iran and some of the adjacent countries for many thousands of years. The Baha'i faith began about 180 years ago in 1844 in Iran by a young man who gave his name or his title as the Bab. And he started the movement, or the Babi movement, which later on, with the proclamation of Baha'u'llah, who then started the Baha'i faith, began the new era of the Baha'i faith. And the Bab introduced a new calendar, which is an amazing calendar. It is based on solar system, so it's 365 days a year, and it has 19 months of 19 days each. During the last month of the Baha'i year, the Baha'is all around the world would be fasting, which means they do not eat or drink anything between sunrise and sunset wherever they are. And when the vernal equinox comes, which is the time when the sun shines around on the earth equally, and the day and night are equal almost everywhere around the earth, at that time, the Baha'is break the fast and they start having the Nowruz celebration, which is all around the world. Everywhere you go, there are Baha'is and there are celebrations. Now, the celebrations, apart from prayers and some devotional elements to them, they don't have any, there are no rituals around the faith, around these celebrations, and therefore any part of the world you go, it's celebrated according to their own culture and however they like to celebrate it, apart from having the prayers and the devotional part as part of it. So for me, the Nowruz celebrations have always been an amazing experience because, partly because I've also lived in different parts of the world, and I have experienced different cultures, the way different groups of people in any part of the world have been able to celebrate this a wonderful day, which, according to the Baha'i writings, it's entitled the Day of God. So it's a special day, and it's a great experience because it's during the fast, the month of the fast, which is 19 days for Baha'is. We try to do spiritual rejuvenation, spiritual reflection, try our best to be really as the best that we can be. And when the time of the spring comes, we hopefully continue with that same trend and continue to be as wonderful people who want to serve the whole world, not just the Baha'is, not just our little corner of the world, but anywhere we are, we would serve the Baha'is, the world around us.
You know, every single time that I actually talk to you or I be a part of the Baha'i community, I know I haven't really practiced in the faith as much as I would like to, but every time I talk to somebody from the Baha'i community, it feels as if I'm part of them. You make me feel so invited, and you make me feel like it doesn't take much to be a part of the Baha'i community. And thank you so much for your insight, Dr. May Badee. Of course, I'd like to ask Mrs. Sohana Akhand, when it comes to the Baha'i community, could you tell me more about the Garden of Rivdan? Or Ridwan, did I say that right?
I'm going to defer this to, can't hear anything.
Are you able to hear me now? Sohana Hakan, are you able to hear us now?
I can hear you, but it's there's a lag again.
Right, unfortunately, just a lag. But can you hear me now, Mrs. Sohana?
A little bit.
A little bit, right. So could you just go ahead and tell me, when it comes to the Garden of Rivdan, why was it the place that Baha'u'llah actually gave himself as a messenger of God?
I'm actually going to defer this to, I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Right, okay. Well, if that's the case, let's just give it a few more minutes until we get the connection back on track. But I am going to move on to Mr. Mahabub Hossain. Now, of course, when it comes to the Baha'i New Year, when it comes to everything that we do take place in the celebrations, the invitation of family, friends, making sure we all get together as one, making sure we all have an amazing time, not just celebrating the goodness of one another, but the actual principles and teachings of what the Baha'i community is all about. Do tell me, Mr. Muhammad Hussain, when it comes to this, how do you celebrate Naw Ruz? Unfortunately, we can't seem to hear you.
Can't hear you.
Well, I guess I'm going to have to tell. Okay, there we go.
Well,
Welcome.
Now can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, thank you. Well,
you're welcome.
First of all, I would like to convey my gratitude to Relaks Radio Authority, and especially as a presenter, you, Mr. Abid Arman.
Thank you very much.
So, this Naw Ruz, if I see personally, then I can see in different dimension. For example, religiously, culturally, traditionally, and internationally, it has a different status and different recognitions and different status it has. For example, if we see religiously, it is a very ancient holidays or religious festivals Zoroastrians used to celebrate in Persia. And later on, in Persia and surrounding some other countries like Afghanistan, some part of the Turkey, and then some part of this former Soviet Union, and then in some part of the Pakistan, and now, of course, some of the community in even India. So they used to celebrate religiously this festival. And then culturally, it is a part, religiously, it is a part, and national level also, it is a very big part of celebration. And if we see internationally, UNESCO has declared this Naw Ruz program or festival as a secular cultural heritage, intangible heritage of the whole humanity. So, in that case, UN, in the time of 28 September to 2nd October 2009 in Abu Dhabi, they had a big gathering. And in that meeting, the UNESCO has listed the intangible cultural heritage of humanity, the Naw Ruz program or Naw Ruz festival. So, and then if I see the another dimension of spiritual dimension, then I should say, like in nature, when the spring comes, is everything refreshed, everything get renovated, and everything get newly starts its journey, whatever it is, even mineral kingdom, even plants kingdom or vegetable kingdom, and of course human is there. So I could evaluate this Naw Ruz program in different way, like in a spiritual dimension, cultural and traditional and international dimension of Naw Ruz festival. Thank you.
Well, that's absolutely amazing. I mean, it does share a lot of insight as to how you perceive the Naw Ruz celebration. But I'm hoping Mrs. Sohana Akhand would actually be able to hear us right now and will not have any lag, if I'm not mistaken. Hi, Mrs. Sohana. Are you able to hear me
Hi
loud and
there.
clear?
Yes, I can hear a Happy Naw Ruz.
Happy Naw Ruz to you too. How has it been so far for you? What's it like in the community? What's it
Oh,
been?
it's beautiful, especially after the 19-day fast that we have. It's just like May had said, it's a renewal. It's a lovely time. It's a springtime. We start off a new year, so it's very it's very beautiful. I just, it touches my heart. And our community is very involved. So that's always a wonderful opportunity to meet others as well. So I especially love Naw Ruz because it's 2 days after my birthday. So
All right,
it's
that's
a
amazing.
wonderful
So
time for me. Yeah.
you have a party on top of a party.
We
But
are
I'm-
actually this evening, since I'm in the morning over here. Yes, we're having a little party in the evening at the Bahá'í Center.
Sounds like an absolutely amazing plan. I will meet you at the party. But what I do want to ask you is, when it comes to the community, how does everybody else contribute to making sure, I mean, at least within your community, that the celebration of Naw Ruz is a success, that we do have a lot of people coming through? How do you all get the message across? How do you make sure people actually be a part of it, even if they are not a part of the Baha'i community? Because as far as I know, you can around 300 million people celebrate the Baha'i Naw Ruz every year. Am I right or am I mistaken there?
Yes.
So that's a lot
7
of
million.
people. We're looking at 300 million people getting together, understanding what the Baha'i community is all about, understanding what the faith is all about. So when it comes to your community, how does it work in getting the message across? How does it work in making sure that everybody contributes equally towards Naw Ruz?
Oh, so one of the things about the Baha'i faith is about unity, is oneness of mankind, oneness of humanity. And that is something that allows us all in the community to come together, regardless of religion, spirituality, or any direction of life that you're in. It's that community that we have already formed. And we reach out to our neighbors, our friends. We, in a way, advertise what's happening in our community, but there are messages that are being sent from friends to family to co-workers, and therefore we are able to connect with everyone else as well. And it's just a really large celebration, just like you have Christmas time and New Year's as well as Eid, for example. It's a very big celebration in that sense. So we are very connected in this community, and we do a lot of activities. Example, meaningful conversation. This is a wonderful way to start off the new year, to connect with others, whether it be within Albuquerque, New Mexico, or around the world or within the nation, we talk about spirituality. We connect others to concepts that are relevant to today's society. So there's a lot involved, but ultimately it's the oneness of humanity, oneness of religion that really connects all of us. Again, regardless of whether you have a religion or not, but that spirituality is so vital to creating vibrant communities in our locality as well as the world, that we are able to reach out to others and pull them towards us. I guess that's the best way I can say.
I mean, that definitely makes a lot of sense, especially when it comes to making sure we get the community together. And thank you so much for your insight on that, Mrs. Sohana Khan. Of course, before we move on into any further discussion, I do have a small video I'd like to share with each and every one of you, of course, to make sure we celebrate the Baha'i community. It's a brand new year, and I'm sure we all love a prayer before we begin anything in our life. So if I could please have your attention for a few minutes.
كافيه لا حزن له وما أنت حافظه لا فناء له من أنت كافيه لا حزن له وما أنت حافظه لا فناء له وما أنت ناصره لا ذل له وما أنت ناظره لا بعد له فاكتب لنا حينئذ كل ما أنت عليه واعفو عنا ما كنا عليه فاكتب لنا حينئذ كل ما أنت عليه واعفو عنا ما كنا عليه إنك أنت رب القوة والعزة رب العالمين إنك أنت رب القوة والعزة رب العالمين إنك أنت رب القوة والعزة رب العالمين رب العالمين.
Absolutely beautiful, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I mean, I do have to say, when it comes to music and when it comes to music that definitely speaks about God, your connection to faith, it definitely puts you on the spot. It makes you feel it. And to be honest, anyone watching right now, I do have goosebumps on me. But of course, hey, here we are again. Definitely making sure we make the most of the celebrations of the Naw Ruz community. And once again, we do have our guests with us. Hi, how's it going? Hope you guys are all having an absolutely amazing time right here on board Relax Radio. But in the meantime, I'd like to get into a discussion with Dr. May Badee. Now, Doctor, when it comes to the Festival of Ridwan, I'd like to understand more about it. We're talking about 12 days of celebrations. I mean, when it comes to Naw Ruz, we have one day. I mean, it all happens in the period of a day. But 12 days of celebrations. I'd like to know what exactly goes down when it comes to the Festival of Ridwan.
Okay, so yeah, that's really, really good point, because Ridwan is a celebration that's the greatest or most great festival for the Baha'is. And as you mentioned earlier, this is the time when Baha'u'llah actually declared himself as being the manifestation of God or the messenger of God for this age to all the people who were around him. But I need to go a little bit further back before we get to why the 12 days.
Okay.
And as I mentioned earlier, the Baha'i faith began in 1844 when the Bab declared that he was the Bab, or the gate between the people and God, basically. And he also gave the glad tidings of a coming of a greater manifestation. He called this who God will make manifest, which refers to Baha'u'llah. Now, at the time, and we are talking about in the 1844 to 1850, in 1850, the Bab was martyred, or he was executed by the Iranian government officials. So within 6 years, he was executed. But Baha'u'llah, who at that time was well known for being a very, very charitable, the father of the poor person throughout Iran, but he lived in Tehran. And his father was a minister in the court of the Shah. But Baha'u'llah left everything and he wanted to help the Babi movement, which had begun. And because of this, he was persecuted along with several thousands of the followers of the Bab. And eventually, Baha'u'llah was put in a black dungeon in Tehran called Siyahchal, which was a sewer facility for the Tehran streets, a very, very horrible place to be without any lights. And he had a very, very heavy chain put around his neck, which weighed 50 kilos. And this dug through his neck, which went on for the rest of his life, affected his neck. Anyway, after 4 months of being in this dungeon, during which time every day they would take some of the Babis and execute them because of their belief in a new religion, Baha'u'llah was released eventually and was told that he had to leave Iran. So therefore, he ended up having to travel in the middle of the winter, and the winters in Iran, especially that road from Tehran toward Baghdad, was a very, very torturous one because they had to go through mountains, basically. And it took them months to actually get to Baghdad. And eventually he settled in Baghdad and he stayed there as it was a banishment, as an exile of the Iranian government for 10 years. After 10 years, the governments of Iran and the Turkish Empire decided that he had to be exiled again. And before this exile, before the second exile, Baha'u'llah was allowed to go to a garden which he called Garden of Rizwan, which means paradise. And this garden was an extremely beautiful garden, full of flowers, especially roses. And once he went there, he had to go across the river Tigris, and some of his family and friends, who some of them were believers, some of them were not, some were Muslims, some were Christians. And so they all kind of traveled with him and they set up tents. And what we know about it is that every day the gardener would cut roses and put them in a pile in the middle of the tent. And all the friends would sit around in the tent with Baha'u'llah, and Baha'u'llah would talk to them about his new faith that he was bringing. And, the most important part of it was, as Sohana mentioned, the unity of mankind. And then he would give roses to everyone who was around there. So this is when the people all around actually realized that this is a new beginning, a new faith, which has been told about through all the other religions in the past. And therefore, this is the greatest festival for the Baha'is. And the reason for the 12 days is that we celebrated from the first day when Baha'u'llah went to the Garden of Rizwan, which is considered a Baha'i holy day, when Baha'is are exempt from working. On the 9th day and on the 12th day, Baha'u'llah actually left the Garden of Rizwan. He went in as someone who people thought that he was just follower of the Bab to becoming the manifestation of God or a messenger for a new religion. And when he left the Garden of Rizwan on the 12th day, again, these are the 12 days of Baha'i holiday. But Rizwan also has another significance, if I may continue.
Of course.
In the Baha'i faith, we do not have any priesthood. We do not have any individual leadership. So therefore, the Baha'is, all of us are in charge of our own spiritual development and spiritual growth. And no one can tell anybody else, because Baha'u'llah says this is the age of maturity of mankind. And now people can read and write, and they can decide for themselves what they want to believe in, what is right and what is wrong. But since we also need some kind of administration just to look after the affairs of the Baha'is all around the world, we do have a system of administration which comes in 3 levels: local, national, and international. The local is in any community, in any city or village or town where there are more than 9 adult Baha'is. We form a local spiritual assembly, which is formed on the first day of Rizwan. And this is the other significance of Rizwan. On the first day of Rizwan, which is usually on the 21st of April, the Baha'is all around the world elect their own local spiritual assemblies in any city or village or town they live in. And the national part of it is the National Spiritual Assembly. Again, every country has a National Spiritual Assembly where there are a number of local spiritual assemblies. And at the international level, we have the Universal House of Justice, which has at the moment 9 members, and the seat being in Haifa in Israel. And they conduct the affairs of, or guide the affairs of the Baha'is all around the world. So these are the significances of Rizwan. Very
I
briefly.
mean, definitely puts a lot of insight. I mean, even though it's 12 days of celebration, it's not really celebration at the initial start of it. There was a lot of trials and tribulations that went through to get to where we are right now. And that definitely sheds a lot of insight onto it. Of course, thank you so much for your thoughts on that, Dr. May Badee. But I'm sure Mr. Mahabub Hossain has a lot to share with us as well. And I'd like to ask a more of a direct question from you, Mr. Mahabub Hossain. I really hope I'm getting your name right.
Yes.
But let's just presume I am. Perfect. Amazing. So when it comes to the Baha'i community or the Baha'i faith, now it's usually, or initially at least, it was seen as a part of an Islamic faith. It was a branch of Islam. But as the years went by, as the years definitely, made more space for anybody from any other religion to come in and practice the Baha'i faith, do you still say that the Baha'i faith is something to do with the Islamic community, or has it now evolved into something greater?
Well, actually, if we see the religion is one, according to Baha'u'llah's teaching, all religions are one.
True.
There is no difference. But it has come to the humanity time to time, age to age. Like if you see, there is two things in all religion. One is a spiritual part, another one is the social part. So religious, spiritual part is all the time is the same. There is no changes. Time ancient till to date. Because telling a lie is a sin, every religion accepts it. And telling a truth, it is very much appreciated by all religion. But fasting, of course, fasting also every religion have, but how to do, and there is some rituals, it has some social, in social context, there are some differences, but in spiritual context, it is the same to please the God, in the name of God, or personal purification or personal spiritual development, we observe the fast or pray to God. So in that case, there is a connectivity with all the religions. If we see the some of the things, spiritual part is the same. It is a cardinal principle. Is never ever changes. Is the same. All these good things, moral things, ethical things, suggested, recommended, advised by the religion is the same. But social context, time to time, the needs are different. Needs are different. So according to the, because society or human advancement is happening every moment, there is a new things is coming up. So according to the situation, according to the time demands, there is a different types of advice or guidance needed. So those social things is all the time is used to evolve, but not the spiritual things.
Right. Well, that definitely makes a lot of sense. I mean, when it comes to making sure you stay spiritually, I mean, I guess like you said at the beginning of the conversation, all religions are one in the Baha'i faith. But when it comes to the Baha'i faith, I guess it's more of a spiritual understanding with who you are as a person, not what religion you believe in or which background you might come from or what kind of culture you might have grown up in. But a question I would like to direct to Mrs. Sohana Akhand. Hi, how are you doing? I hope you are still with us and you are able to hear us. Yes?
Yes, I can hear you.
Perfectly. Right. Well, I'd like to ask you, Mrs. Sohana. Now, when it comes to religion, when it comes to cultures, when it comes to two people from two different backgrounds, there's usually backlash. There's usually a situation where you have to get approval, or even if there is approval from both parties, there's still a lot of prejudice in between both parties. But when it comes to the Baha'i community, can we see the same thing? Now, for example, let's just say I'm somebody of a Baha'i faith and I do meet somebody that's outside the Baha'i faith. Am I still permitted to maybe get married to them? However, I have actually come across a rule that says you cannot exceed an engagement of more than 95 days. So, what exactly does that pertain to, and what exactly is the basis behind two cultures getting together?
So because we are, oneness of mankind, oneness of religion, regardless of one's religion, if say a couple, one is Muslim, another one is Baha'i, they
Okay.
can marry. We do need permission from our parents in order to do that. Let me clarify: parents who are living parents.
Right.
And when you have that connection, we have the respect of the parents in order to marry. But if there's conflict, it's not advisable to proceed with that. So in terms of relationships between a man and a woman, you do have to come in terms of unity to be able to have a marriage. And yes, it's the 95 days from the time, I guess, to be engaged to the time to get married. It's usually 95 days, but there are circumstances where you can do it within that 95 days. But
Yeah.
again, you do need the permission of parents in order to marry. So does that answer your question? Because I'm not sure exactly what direction you're asking of.
Pretty much, if somebody from both cultures pretty much get together and get linked, how is it possible? Is there restrictions, or is it just a normal thing that everybody else goes through, even if you're, or let's say, for example, a Christian, or if you are a Buddhist, and if you're two parties getting together? If there is, I mean, there's always that cultural backlash. Is it as prominent within the Baha'i community? But I just found out it's not. It's not really as serious as other religions make it seem, which in fact makes it a lot more easier for the Baha'i community to actually spread love, spread peace, and spread joy. But a question that's always bothered me is, when it comes to the Baha'i community, do we have a holy book? Now, for example, Buddhists have their book, the Christians have their book, the Muslims have their books, and so do the Hindus. What does the Baha'i community refer to? Is there something that we always take a look at?
Yes, we have our holy book. It's called Kitab Aqdas. It's the most holy book. It's a book of laws, so it does
Okay.
provide guidance and direction as to what you need to follow in order to lead a pure Baha'i life. So just like the Quran, the Torah, and the Bible, it is very similar in that respect. It's not as large of a book as, say, the Quran, but
Okay.
it is a very lovely, to the point, explanatory book of holy words that provide the guidance to lead a productive and holy life.
Well, we're definitely learning quite a lot of things here today on this very special segment with Dr. May Badee, Mrs. Sohana Akhand, and as well as Mr. Mahabub Hossain. But of course, we do have to take a small breather. If you do have any comments you'd like to share, if you do have anything you'd like to share with us at all you have to do is go ahead and drop them below. We do have quite an audience watching us have this discussion here right now. Of course, we do have Roche, we do have Mina, Hafsa. It's a pleasure having each and every one of you sharing your wishes with us right here on Relaks Radio, and people from other countries as well, making sure they make the most of everything that we have here. But as far as I remember, previously when we did show the song to each and every one of you, we did have a little bit of a technical difficulty. But with that said, let's just play it again so that we can make sure we really get into the Naw Ruz spirit and make sure each and every one of you understands what it is to be a part of the Baha'i community. And you're
كافيه لا حزن له وما أنت حافظه لا فناء له من أنت كافيه لا حزن له وما أنت حافظه لا فناء له وما أنت ناصره لا ذل له وما أنت ناظره لا بعد له فاكتب لنا حينئذ كل ما أنت عليه واعفو عنا ما كنا عليه فاكتب لنا حينئذ كل ما أنت عليه واعفو عنا ما كنا عليه إنك أنت رب القوة والعزة رب العالمين إنك أنت رب القوة والعزة رب العالمين إنك أنت رب القوة والعزة رب العالمين رب العالمين.
Absolutely amazing, absolutely beautiful. That voice is just something you want to keep listening to, especially with those chords. It's something about it. But of course, welcome back to the show. You are now locked on with Relaks Radio right here on your #1 talk radio station, and we are making sure we give you everything you need to know and so much more. Don't forget to go follow us on social media. We are on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, you name it, we got it. Just go ahead and be a part of everything that we have to offer for you. In the meantime, welcome to a very special discussion with our guest for today. We do have a celebration that's taking place, which is Naw Ruz. Now, if you're wondering what Naw Ruz is about, it's a very, very important day for the Baha'i community. It's where they celebrate a brand new year. And as far as I've been a part of the discussion, I've learned so many things about their culture, about their community, about how they help one another, and how it's not just about a particular faith or religion, but it's mostly about how we are all one as one human being, as one humankind. Of course, once again, our guests for today are Dr. May Badee. We also have Mrs. Sohana Akhand and Mr. Mahabub Hossain. Hope each and every one of you are having a great time on board the show with us right now. And of course, we are nearing the end of our segment for today. But I do have to ask each and every one of you locked in right now, what plans as soon as this segment is over? Now, listen, I know. Mrs. Sohana is actually going to be celebrating her birthday as well. So she has two parties lined up. But I'd like to know what plans have you sorted out personally so that our listeners can understand you all on a personal level. Where are you going? Who's coming over? Is it friends? Is it family? Is it a close knit? Maybe even a function? Maybe even a place? Do share with me what your plans are for right now. And I'd like to start with you, Sohana, Akhand, seeing as you have quite a lot of plans set up for the evening.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to say I'm very honored to be on this panel. It's
a pleasure having you here.
Meet everyone here, and it's a beautiful day. Like I said, it touches my heart. We actually have a big celebration at our Bahá'í Center in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I will be headed there this afternoon. There'll be music, there'll be prayers and devotionals and food, of course. We all have to eat food. So it's a very, very big thing. And one of the things I noticed personally is that you go to any kind of Bahá'í events, whether it be a feast or a holy day, there's food, always food. So that's a great way to attract people, is just be there because of food. No, I'm just kidding. But yes, we are having a big celebrations at the Bahá'í Center. So we are expecting a lot of people, and it does not matter if you're a Bahá'í or not. Everyone of all different backgrounds, all different religions will be there celebrating this auspicious day. And we are very excited. I'm already dressed up to go, so.
Oh, wow. Okay. I thought you got dressed up for the interview, but clearly you got other plans. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
so
do convey our wishes to everybody at your gathering, and we do hope all of them will be able to be a part of everything that Relaks Radio and Relaks Media has to offer for you. I mean, I'm sure we'll be able to come to one of your events, get an up-close personal look at what exactly goes down, how the celebrations take place, how the people enjoy everything that takes place on Naw Ruz. Thank you so much for your insight, Mr. Sohana Akhand. But Dr. May Badee, what do you have in store? I mean, I'm sure, just like Mr. Sohana said, we do have a lot of food involved, a lot of close family getting together. What plans are awaiting you this night?
Well, yeah, last night actually the Baha'is around Glasgow, which is where I live, we had a Naw Ruz celebration in a hall, and we had about probably around 70 or 80 people there. Lots and lots and lots of food, lots and lots of spiritual conversations, beautiful prayers and music, lots of singing, and we even had a quiz, which was really good. I didn't do very well on it anyway, but the other thing that I did not mention when I mentioned about the Baha'i calendar having 19 days, 19 months of 19 days each, at the beginning of every Baha'i month, the Baha'is from every locality get together, and we call it 19-day feast. And this is kind of the infrastructure of the Baha'i administration. The feast is when the Baha'is get together. They have a devotional program, prayers, reading from the holy writings, and then we have a consultation about what's going on in the community and how best we can serve the community, not just the Baha'i community, but the whole community around us. And then, of course, we also have refreshments as usual. So tonight we have the 19-day feast at our house, and I expect people to arrive very soon in the next 15, 20 minutes. And we will have lots of food. Well, it's going to be potluck tonight, so we're going to have lots of wonderful food around, and prayers and music as well.
Well, all I can say is it might take a little bit longer than 15 or 20 minutes for myself to get there, but I will definitely be there to make sure I enjoy the food and drinks.
I was also going to mention, dear Robert, that you might actually find Baha'is near you.
That actually might be something that's possible. Yes, there is a Baha'i faith here in Sri Lanka as well. To our listeners listening in, we are broadcasting from around the world, different parts of the world. And that's the beauty of Relaks Radio. We connect everybody. But yes, there might actually be Baha'i celebrations taking place nearby that unfortunately I have not been invited to yet. But I'm definitely going to be gate crashing. I mean, I'm just going to tell them that, hey, I'm here to be a part of the family anyway. But I'm sure Mr. Mahabub Hossain also has quite a lot of plans as to what is taking place tonight. Of course, I am not thinking you will be heading out, Mr. Mahabub. I'm assuming you have family and friends coming over, or have I got it wrong? Please do enlighten me.
Our program already over. Today, lunchtime, we had a big program at
Right.
National Bahá'í Center,
You're done
Dhaka.
with the party.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's nothing that you're going to be looking forward to. Well,
No.
okay then. I guess I just have one last question to ask you, Mr. Mahabub. Just one thing that we could all expound on when it comes to the Baha'i community. So somebody who doesn't even know what we're talking about will understand, okay, this is what they were talking about. When it comes to the Baha'i community, Mr. Mahabub, what is the holiest place for the Baha'i community? I mean, every religion has their own city or their own place or their own sacred monument. But when it comes to the Baha'i community, is there something as of such?
Okay. In that case, we have a most sacred place is the burial site of the Baha'u'llah. So that is our Qibla for the Baha'is. Of course, we have some other very holy places like a Baha'i house of worship. And all the holy books are kept over there, and recitation is going on after 1 hour. So it's allowed or accepted everyone. There is no matter what background, what color, what culture, what religion they are belong to. It doesn't matter. So Baha'i house of worship is another place that is very sacred and very special place for the Baha'is. Of course, we have many holy places like Baha'u'llah shrine, Bab's shrine, and then Baha'u'llah's city like Tehran is very special for the Baha'is. Baghdad city itself is very special, and then part of the Turkey, there is a Adrianople, Constantinople. Those are the places where Baha'u'llah been banished and exiled. So those are very special places for the Baha'is of the world.
Uh-oh, is he frozen?
Well, I mean, you did definitely share a lot about the special place of the Baha'i community of the world, but I think we were also pretty much having a little bit of a technical difficulty in the meantime. If I'm not get in the way of anything at all. Thank you so much once again, Dr. Badee, and as well as Mr. Mahabub and Sohana for being a part of this show. You have no idea how honorable it is to have you here, to give us your time, and to let the world know what the Baha'i community is all about. And of course, I'd like to wish each and every one of you a very, very happy Naw Ruz. And
Same to you. Same to you. Same to
Same, yeah.
Happy
everyone.
Naw Ruz.
It's been an honor. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm not sure what we're doing.
I think it's over already. I think so.
Oh, okay.
Bye.
Hello, everyone.
Allah. Allah.